What's up, idols? It's CC Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So, for today's video, you guys see the title. This isn't a lighthearted or cheery type of video. It's one of those informative ones I've done. And this year I've noticed pretty frequently, this year in particular because of the election of President Yoon, I have been talking a lot about women's issues in South Korea. Full disclaimer, Korea is a country that I love. I go every year. I don't want to live there anymore. I got that out of my system. 2 years was enough. But I do like to visit every year for a few months, and I think if everyone wants to go, if you want to go, you should go and experience it for yourself. That's not to say Korea is not like every other country on this planet. There's good and there's bad. And unfortunately, this video is a bit more about the bad. The reason I wanted to talk about this was because I was on Instagram. There's a page I follow called the Korea Herald, and they had a follow-up from something I read last year. So we're going to talk about this story, the laws around these type of issues, and some changes that are finally being made. First, I'd like to ask you guys to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It's totally free, makes me smile, and I'm trying to upload 3 videos a week. If this is the type of content that you like, then I would highly recommend just right there. Leave a like, comment down below so we can talk about this, go back and forth. I really do want to hear you guys' opinions on all this, because I know some people like when I talk about this. Some people are like, oh, you're just pointing out the negatives. I do both. It's just videos like this do tend to perform better. Take that how you will. Also, follow me on Instagram because I post a lot on my stories. If you want to get to know me or see what I'm up to, chances are you'll be able to see it there. I also reply to my DMs. It takes me a while sometimes because some days I just want to put my phone down and not look at it. We all need breaks, but I do respond. I go down and I do try to get to you all. So follow me on Instagram if you want to talk. Also, I've been doing YouTube for 4 years now. And I decided to put together a bunch of playlists of like my clubbing stories, dating story times, tips for moving to Korea and what life is like in Korea, vlogs, exploring vlogs, travel vlogs, rants. I have them all. I have hundreds of videos on my channel, so it would be really cool if you guys could check those out as well, because the way YouTube works, it promotes the new and then the old just dies out. And all those videos took a lot of effort, so if you guys could watch if you haven't, or rewatch, I like that too. Let's start this video. So I'm gonna just read right from this article because the reason I like to do that, I don't want to summarize it wrongly or put words into the situation. So I'm just gonna read the article exactly. And I'll leave everything linked below so you can read for yourself and learn more about this stuff if you want. Special counsel indicts 8 inside of Air Force Sergeant. The 100-day special counsel investigation into the of Air Force Master Sergeant Lee Ye-ram came to a close on Tuesday with 8 officers indicted on new charges. Special Counsel An Mi-young told a news conference that the officers of the Air Force's 20th Fighter Wing, where Lee served, appears to have sought to help the perpetrator rather than the victim, and that the military investigators did not actively work to bring justice. Let this be a warning that when the armed forces investigate their own and attempt to cover up, there will be consequences, she said, adding that she worked with a determination to fix the old flaws of the military criminal justice systems. An was appointed in May to revisit Lee's case after a previous investigation led by military authorities failed to indict any of the high-ranking officers. On March 2nd, 2021, Lee was kissed and groped by another master sergeant known by his surname Chang. Depending on where you look, you'll see Chang or Jang. Sometimes words get romanized differently when it's spelled in English. She reported the incident to her superiors. They tried to silence her. Investigations by military police and prosecutors was repeatedly put on hold. Just about 2 months later, on May 21st, the same year, she took her own life and she was 23. Among the 8 indicted on Tuesday, the battalion commander and commander of the 20th Fighter Wing, who were Lee's immediate superiors. An said the battalion commander, 44, falsely reported to the Air Force Personnel Department that the military police had asked that Chang stay put until after the investigation. The commander, 29, made false and damaging comments about Lee in at least one conversation with the commander of another fighter wing, saying that she was going after her colleagues with lawsuits. These amounted to dereliction of duty and defamation, respectively, the counsel said. The special counsel found that a 29-year-old military prosecutor put off the investigation for no justifiable reason, and that in a report to the Air Force's prosecuting service wrongly attributed to the delay of Lee's own request. Then after she died, he spread information about her personal life that he obtained while he was on the case in the group chat with colleagues. It amounted to the dereliction of duty and disclosure of official secrets, she said. An said the investigation revealed a 45-year-old officer who was in charge of public communications at the time told at least 3 reporters that Lee's suicide was due to her own marriage troubles, not he was indicted for defamation. Finally, the special counsel brought a new charge of defamation against Chung, the master sergeant who's Lee. He told his colleagues and superiors within the Air Force that Lee was lying about what happened and that he was being wrongly accused. In the second trial held in June, Jang was given 7 years by the military court over and other charges. Separately, a former Air Force legal officer and lawyer was indicted for distributing fabricated evidence over the course of the initial investigation. The National Forensic Service Psychology Autopsy Report, also released Tuesday, said Lee was likely left feeling helpless after seeing members of the institution where she belonged turn against her, and the criminal justice response fumbled. So yeah, I remember hearing about this story because it happened last spring. There was not a whole lot done about it. One thing it did do was put fire in people's light of match. You know, it made people want to talk about these types of issues, especially given recent years where, not recent years, this year in particular, last year, this year, President Yoon was making his rounds and he was gaining popularity amongst young men because a lot of men find it so unfair that they have to serve military and women don't. And the reason for that used to be that, well, women get pregnant and become moms, and these days the birth rate is declining, so they think women should be forced to serve in the military as well. Now, for those, I mean, everyone probably knows, but Korean men have to do it. Women can do it if they want to. But when you see cases like this, that when women do elect to serve their country in the military, they're helpless. Even back in April, I saw this video on YouTube videos like Asia Vice or Vice Asia, and they followed a girl's story. She was kind of telling everything she witnessed from back in the day, all the things that happened to her that she never spoke out about because she knew it wouldn't go anywhere. She said, you know, in 2010, the spy cam laws were a lot more lax, and she said that there were several cases of superiors putting spy cams in girls' like living spaces and rooms, and nothing really happened when they found out about it. I think her name was Bang Hidden. She said, in my junior year, there was an illegal spy cam case. A senior male cadet installed cameras. There was one camera each in my senior's room, classmates' room, and junior's room. It was quite a big case with 5 or 6 victims. The way the military court works is they believe, you know, military issues should stay within the military. So when you have like this whole system of people maintaining their power and keeping their power and preventing people and discouraging people from wanting to speak out, nothing really changes. Your sentence or punishment is a lot lighter because they're in control of that. And only recently did it become a crime that if you use your rank as like your justification for taking advantage of underlings in that way, now it's a crime. It wasn't a crime until very recently. Kwon In-suk, I believe her name was. This is what she said. I found out that the Military Criminal Act did not have any clauses with regards to involuntary using rank as a reason in the military, and we added the new clause in. Kwon pushed for all that take place in the military to be tried in the civil court rather than the military court. Historically, perpetrators of in the military who are tried by the military court are much more likely to be released on probation than those by the civil court. In 2020 alone, over 400 cases were reported. Many others were not. Of these cases, less than 40% of the perpetrators were prosecuted and 42.9% were released on probation. So I'm not gonna lie, I was pleasantly surprised to see that finally there were some charges being brought up, because again, this happened last spring. Everything was being dragged out, things weren't being investigated properly, evidence was being hidden. So yeah, since we're gonna talk about how this case was horribly mishandled, basically what happened was An Mi-young, she was specially appointed earlier this year, almost like a full year later, to reinvestigate what went down, because it became really clear to everyone, Lee Ye-dam's family, the public, everyone who knew about this case knew things just didn't add up. Even the president at the time, Moon Jae-in, was like, we need to reinvestigate this and look at this properly. And if you know anything about Korea, you know defamation lawsuits over there are a big deal. People sue each other all the time for defamation. So they said, if anything, we're gonna at least get them for defamation, because they tried to make it seem like it was an issue with her marriage. Data had nothing to do with what happened to her, and they tried to make it seem like she had her own problems and that they had no fault in what happened to her. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this because earlier this year, I was talking with you guys about how Korean men seem to be like very incelish and very upset and anti-feminist, especially with issues around the military. And it's just annoying. It's just frustrating to see that when women do choose to join the military, again, women are not required to, men are required to. And when women do choose to make this their career, or like when I was watching that Vice YouTube video, the girl said she just wanted to see if she could challenge herself and keep up with the guys, and she was into this. And everything that she had to witness, you know, your superiors telling you what to do because if you know anything about Korea, you know it is a very, see if I can say this word right, hierarchical society. Like, everything is about rank and status. So you're supposed to do what your superior tells you no matter what. And when you're a woman, you get told to do bad things. Like, how do these people want women to serve in the military if they're not even protected in the military? Like, you're supposed to look out for each other. It's a country thing, not like a gender thing. I feel like at least, and way underestimated, at least once a year, I see major news about a woman herself because of what she experienced in the military. I mean, it reminds me of how things have always been in the States, for example, until recently, in like the Me Too movement, where girls are expected to just kind of take the harassment on the chin and laugh it off and play it off and play with the boys. Otherwise, you'll be deemed difficult to work with, unhireable, and just not a pleasure to be around, and a bitch if you don't play ball. And that's what it's like for Korean women in the military too. She said, to survive in the military, Bang turned a blind eye to her peers' sexual harassment at first, even joking about it. She recalls the harassment happening to lower-ranking female soldiers. Eventually, it climbed the ranks, and she herself experienced it. When Bang tried to report her sexual harassment to a female officer, the officer brushed her off. So yeah, if men expect women to have to do military stuff in service, then they should also expect to protect women. Is that, like, am I insane? You want everything to be fair. Like, if we serve, they serve. Well, then start treating each other more equal. So, like, can you imagine, especially, I mean, it's different for women and men. Like, men, you have to do it. But a woman chooses to do this. She's choosing this for her career. And when you work just as hard as them, you get your ranks up and you're not being taken seriously. You're being bullied, you're being isolated, and you're being told that you're basically a toy for them. I can't imagine what that's like, and to have these people turn their backs on you. This video is dark, but also it's, you know, a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, because again, we're finally seeing people being held accountable for this. So that's why I wanted to talk with you guys about this today. Thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong.